magazine. I need a magazine. I seriously need it. Thank you. Okay, no. Let's try it again. Let's just see if a magazine can come flying in from the side. What the fuck? I would need to look more coordinated than that. All right, we're gonna get the perfect take. Here comes a flying magazine. Woo! $10,000 to $20,000 watches from 2021. Let's go. Hey, it's Andrew from Time+Tide. I'm in a noisy office on what day is it? Monday afternoon in December. And this is the time of year when we choose our favorite watches from different price points to help you decide what you're gonna spend your money on. We are more than happy to do that. So you're gonna hear noises in the background. You're gonna see all kinds of stuff happening. We're pulling all of our selections from this magazine, the Now magazine, Time+Tide, and here's someone at the front door. This is even more spontaneous. Hello! What we do is we set price points and then we choose watches that have stood out to us. Usually this is the result of a lot of heated argument in the background that may even be happening as we talk. If you want to get involved in this madness, just share what you're wearing in the comments below. I'm wearing the Ruthenium Dial 15500 Audemars Piguet Royal Oak. God, I love this watch. God, this is the noisiest intro ever made. Also, if you want to tell us what you would buy between $10,000 and $20,000, you can go US, Aussie, whatever you like. Do so in the comments below, and we will send the 2 commenters that we like the most a copy of the magazine. And we're gonna hope fervently that it isn't in Romania because it's expensive to ship, but that's okay. You will earn it if you answer those questions really well. Okay, the watch we're starting with, the first one between $10,000 and $20,000 is the IWC Pilot's chronograph 41mm. Now this watch is awesome, and out of the corner of my eye, I believe it's right here. Thank you, Matt. Because we started talking about it, and then Matt said, well, do you just want to take mine? Matthew has purchased this watch, and I just said, do you like it? And he said, yeah, it's a keeper. There's so many reasons for that. I'm not going to ask you, Matt, because you're not mic'd up. I'm just going to, let me speak for you. There's a lot of reasons this watch has been a winner for IWC this year, and I can count the ways. Number 1, a slightly reduced size. 41mm is really, really wearable on a daily basis. Number 2, 100 meters of water resistance, meaning that this is a proper sports watch contender, can be worn in lots of circumstances. Number 3, open case back, better movement than the previous version, and also some pretty cool strap tricks. How did this watch get over $10,000? We chose the $10,900 steel bracelet variation, but you don't have to choose because you can just take the bracelet off with the quick change system. So I've just made that happen right there. That's just linked. Anyway, I think you're getting the picture. Okay, we'll see that's how easy it is. Look, overall, a Pilot watch in your collection is necessary. I'm just gonna put that out there. They're super legible, they're dressy and sporty, and now thanks to IWC with these really cool practical strap hacks. Also, this one has a cool one. When you press the logo, you can adjust the length of the strap. Price is around $10,000. It's just under if you're going leather and just over if you're going bracelet, but why not get both? That's what Matt's just done, except he has been sent the leather without the buckle. So Matt, you'll just have to wait and see how that feels on leather. Number 1 done. Secondly, Geneva Watch Days saw the release of the Bulgari Octoroma World Timer. Now the Roma has been well and truly overshadowed by the Octo Finissimo, but you know what? Thin isn't for everyone. Slim isn't for everyone. The Octoroma World Timer is a much thicker watch. However, with that thickness comes presence. And with Bulgari's superior quality everything, you're getting this luscious blue dial, a very handy World Timer complication, and this extra little bit of size that gives it more presence on the wrist. Luke Benedictus in our team absolutely loved this watch and argued vehemently that it must be in this list. So here it is. Now with all those facets and angles and edges and layers, you might think this watch is a monster. It's not, it's 41mm and it's 12,750 Aussie dollars. There is nothing like a waiting list to whet people's appetite for watches, and that is what Grand Seiko has achieved with the SLGH 005 White Birch. Now this watch broke everything. It broke the internet. It broke people's expectations of what a Grand Seiko could look like, and it really broke the mold in terms of being a watch that has, like the Snowflake before it, immediately built more people wanting this watch than there are watches in the world. And that might be why it also won an award at the GPHG this year. This really is another watermark for Grand Seiko. And of course that comes down to the absolutely sumptuous dial texture and pattern with this sort of scratched snowdrift type of pattern on the dial. We have immaculate finishing of the watch, and then we have this 9 series bracelet that is quite wide, doesn't taper, so it has an extra masculine look to it. And then of course the movement, the 9SA5 movement that everyone wants a piece of, because it has this expanded escapement that looks, it's also placed in such a way that the symmetry of the open case back is gorgeous to look at, as well as having this larger escapement, which is the star of the show. The size of the watch is 40 millimeters, which is damn near perfect, and the price of the watch is $13,600. Get on a list, get it any way you can. This watch is definitely worthy of the hype. Here's a question for you. How big can something be, or how small, before it stops being called big? Well, the Big Pilot reduced in size to 43 millimeters this year with the launch of the Big Pilot 43 collection. Quite a big move, because it brings these very, very iconic and recognizable pilot watch styles of the Big Pilot to a smaller diameter that's much more wearable. And like the Pilot chronograph, there is the same relentless attention to wearability from IWC. I have chosen the plain old blue dial Big Pilot 43, which is another interesting twist. This is no longer a Le Petit Prince model. This is a blue dial Big Pilot 43 for your consideration, priced at $12,600. Look, I don't know about you, but how long ago does January feel? Because the Chronomaster Sport by Zenith, to me, feels like it was released about 5 years ago. That's the kind of year it's been. But it was January. I had my feet in the pool. This box arrived. It was the Chronomaster Sport. We did lots and lots of social. We did tons of stories on this watch. We did questions, we did everything, because it was one of those designs that arrived and immediately caused a massive impact. And that's not just because it maybe resembles a certain unattainable watch closely. Of course, we dug into that story, and the Chronomaster Sport very much has its own story to tell, and it has a link to Rolex and the Daytona that gives it maybe special privileges. So a year after having this watch, I've done a 6 months on the wrist video. I've continued to tell the story of the Chronomaster Sport, because it is actually, we've got one here. Matt, can you get it out of that box? Hey, guess what, guys? We don't have any left to sell. Here is the Chronomaster Sport sitting neatly in its, look at this box. What a shame there are none left. Are you sure there's none? Okay, he's gonna check. We'll confirm that. The Chronomaster Sport sitting here is one of the watches of the year. It also won a GPHG award, and you can see why. This watch is absolutely worthy of all the hype, and until you've held one in your hand, you can only have a certain amount of opinion about it. Go and try one on. It's 100% in the top 10 watches between $10,000 and $20,000. And just to follow up, we actually don't have any boxes left, so if you'd like to buy this one, you can maybe DM me. I don't know. All right, here's a clue. The Jaeger LeCoultre Reverso is 100% in the top 10 watches of the year from $10,000 to $20,000, and that's because they brought color to the table, and they brought Fagliano, the best quality leather strap I've ever put in my 2 fingers. The 3 colors of the watches are, of course, burgundy, blue, and this lovely sort of pine green. And we chose this watch for the cover for that very reason. These are Reverso watches at their absolute finest. I don't really need to sing the praises of Reversos beyond that, because you all know a lot about them. It's more about the tonality of the color. It's more about the way that color inspires feeling and emotion. They were absolutely pitch perfect color tones. I love them. I don't really have much more to say about them. I really want one. I want the green one. I want the red one. I want the blue one. I don't know. I can't decide. I want them all. So we've got 2 Zeniths in the $10,000 to $20,000 range. I was wearing my Night Surfer earlier, the Defy Classic skeleton. I didn't include that in any list because it's sold out, so we can't actually do that. Is someone eventually going to bring this to me? Thank you, Sean. Thank you, darling. This is the Zenith. I was about to say Chronomaster, it's not. This is the Zenith Defy Classic Skeleton Night Surfer Time and Tide edition. That's not in the list because that's gone. However, the Zenith Chronomaster Revival Safari is 100% included in the list because it is that different shape of Zenith case, that slightly more kitsch, cushiony shape. It is a really odd mix of very much of the moment color in this khaki green, the micro blasted titanium case, the green strap. It's actually kind of a sister watch to the Reverso, if you will, but of course packing that movement that makes Zenith pretty hard to compete with in lots of ways when it comes to movement technology. It's a great watch. It is priced at $12,900 and it's in the top 10 for sure. The third brand to double up and score 2 rankings in the top 10 is Grand Seiko with the SBGY 007. Now this is again this Lake Suva ice blue dial. It's that different case shape of the SBGY cases, slightly more dressy, definitely more classic than the sportier case shapes. Looks fantastic on leather. Again, we have a dial that will scream off the wrist that you are wearing a Grand Seiko. There's that very icy, nature-inspired dial with textures that are going to excite the eye. Wonderful watch at a very wearable 38.5 millimeters. It has to be in the list. That simple. When Louis Vuitton won a GPHG award for the Tambor Street Diver, I think I, like everybody else, took a very sharp intake of breath. This was not expected, but we went hands-on with this watch for quite a few months this year, and it is surprising because what it combines is a pretty strident, quite different aesthetic for a dive watch, and combines it with Louis Vuitton's, knack and skill for hand finishing. So the watch really wears beautifully. Again, the finishing is at a very high standard that you would expect from a craftsman brand. And look, it's a strong look. It's in a world of watches that look quite similar. Perhaps this is why it got so much attention from the judges at the GPHG. I don't really understand how it won the diver category given the depth rating of the watch. That's not its strongest suit. But I can agree that on the wrist, it's quite enjoyable to wear because it ends up being a change-up. You have a lot of watches in your collection that all look a certain way. This is just over $10,000, so again, it's controversial in a lot of ways. It's surprising, as was the result, but it's actually, if I'm talking about watches that define the year, I'm popping this one in. Now there was strong hints last year that Breitling were going to launch some kind of a vintage assault when they were enlisting the kind help of Watch Fred, who is the Instagram king of vintage Breitling. But did we see the B25 coming, which is this 42mm salmon or copper dialed Breitling that incorporates a heck of a lot of classic complication for not a commensurate price tag? And what are we talking about here? We have a tachometer, we have a day function, a date function, a moon phase function, and not just a date function, this is a pointer date function. So in addition to those quaint calendar complications, we also have something quite useful, which is a chronograph. So all of these complications packed into a watch mean that it wears high, but it really has a vintage charm that we haven't seen from Breitling in, as long as I've been in watches really. This is quite a committed move from them to take Watch Fred and other consultants' advice and come up with a watch that is from such a classic era of their history. $16,990 is what you pay for all this vintage charm, and even that has caught attention for being quite reasonable. So there you have it, our favorite watches from $10,000 to $20,000 in the year of 2021. To have us send you a copy of our magazine, all you have to do is tell us what you're wearing today and why, and also what watch would you buy in the $10,000 to $20,000 category from 2021. Obviously the Speedy's going to get a lot of votes. I think the IWC Pilot's chronographs are going to be really popular, maybe in the 5 to 10 though, because they tick just under in leather. Lots of choices, love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for watching Time and Tide. Stay tuned for the big baller category coming up.